Welcome to the Skull King Fantasy Football Podcast, presented by Vox DFS Firelines. Now, here are your hosts, Justin.
Stephon Gilmore go to the Patriots. Now they let Mike Gillislee go to the Patriots. Are they now just the farm club within their own division?
Greg.
He's one of these faux leading women. It's like, that's not Angelina Jolie or Jennifer Aniston. It's some girl that I would see at the Circle K. That's kind of Alshon Jeffrey.
And Ryan.
There is absolutely no reason why O.J. Howard should be drafted before Cameron Brate. Hello and welcome again to another episode of the Skull King Fantasy Football Podcast. We are very excited to bring you another fun episode. Well, we hope it's fun. We're going to be covering a bunch of news and notes tonight. Over the last week, there's some things we won't cover because it's been done in a previous episode, which you can find on either iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play. Where else do we have it? TuneIn. And if you guys could all do us a favor, even do it right now. If you guys could go ahead and give us a rating. You don't even need to fill out a review. Just give us a rating. We don't care if it's a 1-star or a 5-star. I mean,
this is a 5-star show, but
okay. I was gonna be modest and say we give minimum 3.5-star quality advice. So we feel
just
that we're
above average.
We're just above average. So we think that would be great. But we don't care. Honestly, give us a 1-star, 2-star, 3, 5-star. We don't care. I want to see some reviews out there. I want to see some ratings out there. All right. So there's that. We've got a couple things extra going right now. If you go to our website and actually go to the store tab up top on our website at skullkingfootball.com, go to the store tab, and you click on the Skull King 2017 Draft Guide. You can actually download that for free. You will have to, fill out a couple things, just like your email and that sort of thing. And that helps us be able to message you so that we can get more news out to you for later on in the season. But right now we have that up for free. We are not sure how long we're going to keep it for free. But if you want to go ahead and do that, get it for free right now. Again, go to skullkingfootball.com/store, and in there you go to the Skull King 2017 Draft Guide, and you can get that. You can download that for free. Not only do we have that, part of that download is also a kind of a cheat sheet draft guide that I created last year. That it's kind of a fill-in-the-blank thing that you can use whether you have a 2QB system, an IDP system. Help you, you can fill out multiple ones for drafts to prepare before your draft and just take that cheat sheet with you, that sort of thing. So we hope that you would go to, again, skullkingfootball.com/store to check out our Skull King 2017 Draft Guide to download for free. All right. I think that's all of our major announcements. Why don't we go ahead and hop into the news and notes? A couple things we are not going to be covering. We're not going to go over the 6-game suspension or the wildness that happened with the Bills and all the trades and everything. We covered that in a previous episode. So if you want to hear kind of our thoughts, mine and Greg's thoughts on that, go back to that and we'll and you can find out our thoughts there. Oh, here, while we're on here, because we do a lot of our news coverage and everything from SleeperBot. We have our own SleeperBot channel, discussion channel. So if you go, again, if you're on SleeperBot, go to the channels, search. We're probably near the bottom because we're brand new. Go to Skull King Fantasy, the best fantasy site you've never heard of. That is our little moniker right now. So go ahead and go to the SleeperBot channels, and we've got a channel in there. We've already got a couple questions posted to get the discussion going. So, all right. So here we go. Let's start with the news. Kicker news. That's always the great way to start a fantasy football podcast.
Best way to start a great show.
The Bucs have released former second-round pick Robert Aguayo after missing two kicks in last week's preseason game. Justin, did you actually see the clip that they showed? I think they showed it on Twitter, on Facebook, from Hard Knocks of him actually getting released.
No, I have not. My cable network does not have HBO, so I do not have the Hard Knocks.
I believe ESPN. You can probably even find it on ESPN. ESPN actually showed a clip. It's like a 30-second clip of him getting called into the GM's office. And the GM, when the GM starts with, "Well, this isn't easy," it is you're in tough shape. They only showed about 30 seconds and just kind of let her know. Well,
it's right here on the NFL.com. I'll watch it now.
Yeah, there you go. There's that. And I kind of saw this coming. He has actually signed on with the Bears. I think it was just, let's be honest, he was the most accurate kicker in NCAA history. And I think going into a ridiculous situation where the Bucks drafted him as their second pick, as a second round pick for a kicker, is just ridiculous. I think he had a lot of pressure on him to try to live up to the hype, and he just couldn't handle it. So I hope for him that he's able to move on and maybe get a new start with the Bears. So, all right, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, you'd think kicker would be the easiest transitionable position from college to NFL, because you're doing the exact same thing at the exact same pace to hit the same target. Maybe there's just faster bodies flying at you, but yeah. Seahawks would have signed him, but they already signed the throwaway from Minnesota, so we'll go with that.
After ditching our own kicker that missed two or three important field goals last year. So, all right, moving on. Broncos, here's a little bit of rookie news. Broncos wide receiver Carlos Henderson had thumb surgery to repair some torn ligaments. He was kind of the favorite to be kind of the wide receiver 3 kind of coming into camp. Looks like for now Cody Latimer may kind of take over that role as Henderson gets healthy. I mean, nothing big there. Jay Ajayi is finally back. I believe he's finally out of concussion protocol officially and can actually start, is going to start practicing pretty soon. Again, a lot of this we're just kind of gloss over.
Quickly gloss over.
Yeah. Jaguars running back Leonard Fournette suffered a foot injury in the game against the Patriots, I believe it was. Head coach Doug Marrone said the team intends to be careful with him because he's their only running back. They have other bodies that play running back. That fill in at running back, but he's their only actual running back.
They have phantom jerseys that have all the pads, but no body in them.
Jaguars wide receiver Marquise Lee was actually carted off the practice field with a right leg injury. It turns out that it was I want to say it was an ankle sprain. I want to say it looked a lot worse than it actually was. Marquise Lee is definitely a guy to keep your eye on if you are interested in trying to find guys that are gonna get looked over. Marquise Lee is one of them. He finished last year really well. Actually, he was actually outpacing Allen Robinson for yards and receptions. So that's definitely a guy to look at and to be thinking about, especially if he gets healthy. We're skipping over that. We skipped over that. Okay, so if you are on Twitter, if you follow fantasy football on Twitter, you will see that this has been blowing up everywhere.
The best is the new Megatron.
The new Megatron. Kenny Golladay is going crazy on Twitter. I mean, the love is beyond. Kenny Golladay in his pro debut in week 1 caught 3 of 4 passes for 53 yards and 2 touchdowns, and all of Twitter went nuts.
If this was a fantasy football season, he would be the new Tyreek Hill, who touched the ball twice and led all receivers with fantasy points 1 week last year.
Yeah. Yeah.
1 run, 1 catch.
So here's my take on Kenny Golladay. I really liked him coming into the draft. I think with how he kind of moved on, he played really well in North Dakota. Won more competition, so he moved up to Northern Iowa or Northern Illinois, which again isn't huge, but it's in the MAC. It's a mid-major type of conference. Played really well, really dominated his last 2 seasons, and many people considered him to be kind of a sleeper going into the draft just because of where he could possibly end up. Now that he's with the Lions and he's playing so well, he really could. I could see him taking over Marvin Jones' role if Jones can't keep up. However, let's cool our jets just a little bit. Yes, he's big. He's very talented. He's very fast. It's one preseason game. Cool the jets just a little bit on the hype. Do I think he's a great receiver? Yes, but let's hold back just a little bit, okay?
He was also playing against 2s and 3s.
Correct. He was.
Let's see what he does against some 1s later in the preseason.
Now did spend a lot of time this last week in practice. He started seeing times with the first team offense. So obviously he's impressing. Let's kind of see where it goes. So reason to celebrate. Don't get too excited. It's just the first game of the preseason. Let's kind of see how he improves. This is why you don't draft until the end of the preseason. All right. Colts owner Jim Irsay acknowledged Sunday that Andrew Luck's shoulder week 1 availability is in question, and we all said, no duh. The guy barely has even started throwing. Of course he's not ready yet. So
can he pick up his arm yet?
I don't even know. I don't even know if he can lift his arm get his arm up past his shoulder. I mean, I've in my own rankings, I mean, you'll even see him in the draft guide. I think I have him down to like quarterback 10 just because we don't know how long it is until he'll be available.
And he still has one of the worst for pass protection.
One of the worst lines, yeah.
So even when he's back, he is maybe another like Peyton Manning kind of thing where he'll be ragdolled. Welcome to the Indianapolis Colts offensive line history.
Yes. All right. Sterling Shepard is finally back after his low ankle sprain that kind of was a big scare. Paul Richardson, there was a lot of hype around him after kind of how he finished the last season with the Seahawks. Exited Sunday's preseason opener with a shoulder injury. They say it was an AC sprain, but from everything I've heard up here in Seattle from the news reports that Pete Carroll believes that there's no question he'll be ready for week 1. And the hits just keep coming for Jordan Matthews. The Bills wide receiver Jordan Matthews has what the team is calling a chip fracture in his sternum and is week to week. That's
someone who got lit up.
Yeah, he got hit hard in practice apparently. So let's move on. Okay, this is another thing that we've been saying over and over and over again. Browns QB coach David Lee said second-round quarterback Deshaun Kaiser has improved, but is not ready to start. I seriously believe that this is Brock Osweiler's job, at least still for now. It'll probably eventually go to Deshaun Kaiser, maybe even halfway through the season, but for now it's still Brock Osweiler's job.
Yeah. And one thing to note with Brock Osweiler being the quarterback more than likely there is that you really need to look at David Njoku maybe being the last pick of your draft for those who want to have 2 tight ends on their team. You're looking at a Brock Osweiler who hit his tight ends more than his receivers last year.
Yeah, my only concern about Njoku is right now he's not even starting because he has had so many issues in practice with fumbles.
Oh,
so that's definitely Njoku is an athletic freak that could very well have a very good season. The only problem is for now I think that it's a little early simply because dealing with the fumbling issues, which I don't know if he ever actually had in Miami. So I think it's something to keep an eye on. He does have the talent. We'll just see where it goes. We got to wait a little bit longer. Here's Marquise Lee. It was a high ankle sprain. He's going to push hard to be ready for week 1, but could be pushed back. So, for those of you who follow us on Twitter, you probably saw me put up a poll about this. And let's see if I can actually see if I've got the poll right here. Let's see. It was. Oh, come on. I had it. With the trading, there it is. Who benefited the most from the Jordan Matthews trade? Was it Alshon Jeffrey, Torrey Smith, Nelson Aguilar, or Zach Ertz? I believe that almost everyone got it wrong. I think 76% of people got it wrong. 31% said Alshon Jeffrey, 6% said Torrey Smith, 39%, the winner was Nelson Aguilar, and the people who were right were the ones that said Zach Ertz. So let's move to the story out of Philadelphia, where Philadelphia Inquirer Zach Berman believes that Zach Ertz will be a high-volume receiver with Jordan Matthews gone. Because Jordan Matthews, at 6'3", about 210, doesn't run fast, doesn't play outside. What does he do? He plays the slot. About the same place that the tight end is going to catch the ball.
Yeah.
He's caught the ball over the middle. With him gone, I'm sorry, that's not going to go to Nelson Aguilar, who still hasn't been able to catch a ball. In the first preseason game, I want to say in the first preseason game, he caught 1 of 3 passes or something. I think he only had like 1, maybe 2 catches. Didn't catch all of his targets.
Yeah.
Zach Ertz is going to get the most work.
Yeah.
Because of Jordan Matthews being gone. I don't like saying that, but I'm going to have to move Zach Ertz up in my tight end rankings because of this. So, I'm not a huge fan of Zach Ertz, but the opportunity is there with Jordan Matthews gone. I believe most of it's going to go to him. So, in more PPR news, late round running back news, ESPN's Jordan Renan believes that Shane Vereen remains a big part of the plans this season for the Giants. I would agree because he's the only one of their running backs who can catch the ball out of the backfield. I'm still not a huge believer in Paul Perkins because he didn't really do a whole lot with it last year. So, Devonta Freeman has been in concussion protocol. I do not believe he has gone back to practice yet.
He got paid. Now he can sit.
He got paid. Now he can sit for a little while. Falcons. Okay, this is huge, especially drafting in round 1. If you're back and forth, for a lot of people who go back and forth, a lot of people believe that Antonio Brown's going to be your wide receiver 1, the top receiver drafted. A lot of people go back and forth on whether they're going to go Julio or they're going to go Odell Beckham Jr. This should help sway some people to Julio. Falcons.com's Kelsey Conway reports the team has shown a real emphasis on getting Julio Jones more red zone touches during camp. I keep trying to figure out why their offensive coaches hadn't done this in the past. Why in the world are you not using a 6'3", 220-pound man, 6'4" actually, I believe, 220-pound freak of an athlete who you saw what he did last year in the Super Bowl. His toe tapping and everything like that he was able to make those phenomenal catches. Why are you not using him in the red zone? Well, finally, believe it or not, Steve Sarkisian, of all people, has finally been the offensive coordinator who wants to use him in the red zone. So,
and Sark loves big bodies.
Loves big bodies. That's also a reason to watch for Austin Hooper.
Yes.
Down the road. I think right now he's like tight end number 19. Sarkisian is good for big-bodied receivers and tight ends.
Yes.
We're kind of have yet to see what
and wheel routes out of the backfield.
Yes. So Tevin Coleman in PPR leagues.
Yes.
All right. Sources say that Chargers eye an October debut for first-round pick wide receiver Mike Williams as he returns from a herniated disc in his back. Cue all the trumpets saying, "Draft Tyrell Williams! Draft Tyrell Williams!"
And all the
please."
smug Chargers fans who were like, why the blankety blank did we not draft defense? Most notably by the most lopsided preseason game so far in week 1.
Yeah.
Which was a beating.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was. Yeah, really, again, I've go over this over and over and over again. Tyrell Williams is going to be a very good player this year. Herniated discs are going to be tough to come back from. Back injuries, neck injuries. I mean, this you got to remember.
And they will linger throughout a career.
Mike Williams has already hurt his neck and missed the year that Clemson lost to Alabama in the national championship game. He actually had 2 catches that season. His second catch was for a touchdown, and through the end zone, he after he caught the ball in the end zone, ran into the post that holds up the uprights and broke his neck, and missed the rest of that season. So this is a guy who's had neck and back injuries, already. Now he's dealing with a back injury. This is something that could linger. Tyrell Williams. Because if Keenan Allen goes down again, which I predict he very well could, it may not be as early as last year, but I'll be safe and give him 10 games. You're going to have Tyrell Williams for the playoffs.
Yes.
And Tyrell Williams on only 69 catches had just as many or maybe even more yards than Demaryius Thomas did on like 95 catches last year. So, moving on. Draft Tyrell Williams. Let's see. More on Carlos Henderson. He's day to day with his finger injury. So, Bengals first round pick John Ross is taking part in full practice as of a couple days ago. I can't wait to actually see him in game to see how he can play with the pros.
Yes. I saw on Twitter someone was talking about how he is no Tyreek the Freak in terms of speed. And I politely reminded that person that John Ross broke the 40 record at the Combine. So he may not be Tyreek, but in terms of flat-out speed, he's actually faster.
Correct. So it'll be interesting to see because I think to me, he's more that T.Y. Hilton type. He's not going to have a ton of touchdowns. He's not going to be used a lot in the red zone. He is going to get a lot of deep passes. He's going to catch a lot of passes, get a lot of deep passes. He's one of those guys that they may even have him on punt returns. I'm not sure yet. But he will be, I think, return yard leagues could be a big thing for him. He's going to be a better standard scoring player as like a wide receiver 3 kind of, or even like a wide receiver 4 fill-in type of player until we know more. So
yeah, because he's not going to get a lot of catches.
No, they'll just
speed will get you yards. They'll be kind of like a Taylor Gabriel from last year.
Sort of, yeah. I could see that kind of production from him.
I'm not projecting that production, but I'm just saying that's the similar type of play.
All right, Colts tight end Eric Swope underwent arthroscopic knee surgery and is week to week. And for those who had been hyping up Eric Swope, this really just puts more emphasis on Jack Doyle. I'm still not sold on Jack Doyle personally. So,
yeah, me neither.
All right, Coach Arians of the Cardinals admitted he is concerned about all the practice time John Brown had been missing with his quad in camp. If you read our draft guide, if you get our draft guide and read it, you will read when you go over the Arizona Cardinals overall team depth chart and everything. I have John Brown as like the 4th wide receiver because I don't think he can stay healthy for a full season. I may have even had him I may have even had him 4th or 5th. I don't know.
Did you see the news that came out today?
Which news is that?
that Bruce Arians has named him as the number 2 receiver.
No, not John Brown. Jaron Brown.
Oh, I misread that.
Yeah, it's Jaron Brown is the number 2 wide receiver, not John Brown. John Brown's probably number 3 or 4 now. J.J. Nelson
Wow.
may even be moving ahead of John Brown because John Brown can't stay healthy.
There's way too many similar names on that roster.
John, Jaron, J.J.
Two Johnsons in the backfield, 2 Browns at wide receiver.
All right. DeMarco Murray with his hamstring injury returned to practice on Monday. J.J. is no longer in concussion protocol. Bills coach Sean McDermott said second-round wide receiver Zay Jones will primarily play on the outside, which would make sense because Jordan Matthews can't play on the outside. He proved that the last 2 years, that he could not play on the outside when they tried. He is a slot receiver. He is really a tight end in a slimmer body.
Yeah, and Bolden's not going to beat anybody deep.
No. So you've got Bolden, really, so you've got 2 slot guys, 2 slot possession guys, and Zay Jones on the outside. Now, for those of you who know Zay Jones and have seen his tape and what he's able to do, Zay Jones broke the career receptions record in the NCAA. He even broke the single season record. I want to say he had one season with like 170 catches or something like that, I think in his senior year, or 160, something like that. A lot of his catches were short routes. He did not take deep balls. And a lot of people may pin that against him and say, well, he can't run the deep ball, so how is he going to play the outside? Actually, if you go back and listen to my conversation that I had with the play-by-play announcer from East Carolina University, you can go back and check that on iTunes. What he said is that there was actually a different wide receiver that was that guy's role, was the deep routes to pull the coverage off of Zay Jones so that he could work the middle. Zay Jones can run the deep routes. Zay Jones can run the fast routes. He actually improved his speed over his 4 years in college from a 4.6 to just under a 4.5 40. So this is a guy that works hard at what he does. I believe that Zay Jones will be the number 1 wide receiver in Bills camp by the end of the year. Unless the number 1 wide receiver is actually going to be LaShawn McCoy, which could very well also
and
be
McCoy is, not that he had much to go, but he is jumping in a lot of mock drafts that I've been doing to kind of fill that Zeke void, kind of becoming that number 5 pick. I've seen him drafted before Odell Beckham Jr. in 5 of the last 6 mock drafts I've done.
Zay Jones?
Sorry, no. McCoy.
Oh, McCoy.
As being that number 1 receiver.
Okay, sorry. We're talking about Zay Jones. Okay, so yeah, I can understand Shady going above Zeke because the 6-game suspension. Honestly, Zeke, we talked about this. Zeke should be going in the 4th or 5th round if he's missing 6 games.
Yeah.
All right, had to get a little more coffee. There we go. All right, the Eagles. The Eagles informed starting running back Ryan Matthews, who passed his physical, that he's been released. Moving on. the man with the glass collarbones is done.
Yes.
Yes. More vindication. ESPN Bucks reporter Jenna Lane believes rookie tight end O.J. Howard's early contributions will primarily come as a blocker. Cameron Brate is the starting receiving tight end.
I feel like there's a few topics we talk a lot about. 1, Steve Sarkisian. 2, Cameron Brate and O.J. Howard. But as a huge fan of the college game, and not to distract what the point of the podcast is, but O.J. Howard was a blocking tight end that did not do a lot of pass catching, and I think that's one of the things that was a great value for the Bucks, was to be able to have more run blocking for their running backs in order to alleviate pressure off of Jameis Winston, in order to be able to be more mixed in how they run their offense. Yes, they drafted him early, but that doesn't mean that he's going to catch the ball a lot.
Correct.
Because the safety blanket is still named Brait, not
Correct.
Evans, which
Not
is
Evans.
why I don't have Evans until like 6. I have J.J. Nelson over Evans, or Jordy Nelson over Evans.
Jordy Nelson over Evans. I can see that.
Because Jordy Nelson's going to get more catches and has a better quarterback.
True. All right. I think a lot of the reason for going towards Evans and a lot of his production is because they just throw the ball so dang much.
And he's he's big.
He's a monster. He really is. I mean, let's not forget who was his quarterback in college.
Johnny Manziel.
Johnny
and he
Manziel.
saved his life.
Yeah. So honestly, how much was it actually, Evans was, a big part of Johnny Manziel's success because of the fact that he could catch the ball, because he was a monster and could just dominate. Johnny Manziel didn't have a playbook. It's as our uncle Robbie would put it. He was it the day he is play. There he is. Throw it. All right, moving on. God, I mean, the hits just keep coming for Baltimore. Brashad Perriman has a grade 2 hamstring strain. He's done. I mean, we're done. Brashad Perriman probably won't play this year. If he does, it'll be very limited. He may have 1 or 2 games, and then he'll get injured again. We're done. All right. Let's see.
But that does wonders to Mike Williams's draft value, who has been a top 20 fantasy receiver 6 of the last 7 years.
Correct. Well, then who's the other wide receiver that they signed there? They just brought in.
Let me pull it up.
Yeah, go ahead and pull it up. John Brown has finally returned to full practice yesterday. Doug Baldwin resumed.
Jeremy Maclin is who they brought in.
Jeremy Maclin. Okay.
Why do we not remember that?
I don't know.
Well, yeah, because Jeremy Maclin disappeared in Kansas City.
I do partially blame his quarterback. So
yes, the wet towel.
Yes. Oh, I actually forgot. I don't know how I missed this. Dolphins coach Adam Gase said that Jay Cutler, Cuddy is back, will make his debut Thursday night against the Ravens. So
I am excited to watch this, by the way.
So am I.
Just because of how much, for those of you, this may be your first time watching or listening, Greg is a huge fan of Jay Cutler.
Not
and
really.
So, there's Cutler's Corner. For those of you who visit the website, read his articles, there's always a rant at the end of all his quarterback articles about how Jay Cutler is worthless. From a fantasy perspective, Greg may take it a little too far. We don't want to get into personal things, but it's one of those things. It's just entertaining to listen to, but I'm excited because I'm on the other side of that. I always thought that Jay Cutler was a very serviceable late round quarterback that you could get for fantasy. Now, the last year, no. The years he's injured, no. But I actually won a league, I want to say in 2014 with him as my quarterback.
I won a league because I traded Jay Cutler. Oh no! I started out the season I was like Jay Cutler and Nick Foles as my quarterbacks, and I finished. No! I finished the season with Tom Brady as my quarterback because I managed to trade Julio Jones for him, and then later dropped Cutler at that point. A little bit later, and then because someone else picked up Jay Cutler, I was able to trade Alshon Jeffrey and another player to get Julio Jones back from the same guy that I got Tom Brady from. So
that's what it's called, fantasy football magic, right there.
Yeah, the league that trade almost got vetoed 5 times. So, all right, okay, we've got to talk about this. Someone actually posted on here. It's got to be a joke. Take advantage of your friends believing that Ted Ginn can't catch. It's their loss. Josh Norris explains why the wide receiver is a must-have in drafts. Take advantage of your friends believing Ted Ginn can't catch. If you watched their first preseason game, in the first quarter, he was wide open, had a ball, nowhere near a defender, hit his hands, and go right through them. He can't catch. He will get volume in the Saints offense.
Yeah.
But he's not going to take away, he's not going to take a massive amount of volume from Willie Snead and from Michael Thomas.
No.
Ginn will be the wide receiver 3.
He'll be last year's Snead.
Yes.
With probably 20 drops.
Well, no. I mean, it'll be 10. It'll be 10 probably, but
yeah, but probably 6% of those will be in end zones.
Very well could be. Bilal Powell's back, resumed practice. Lucky Whitehead broke his foot in practice. So much for being lucky.
And so much for anything that the Jets quarterbacks could throw to that's name is not Robbie Anderson.
Robbie Anderson. Oh, it's Jalen Marshall, I want to say, is there other young kid that no one's ever heard of. That
if you announce his name, he will get hurt. Stop.
Okay, we went over that. Why do they have so much defensive stuff on SleeperBot?
Well, I want to jump ahead to a piece that is probably next, but were you able to watch the Seahawks preseason game this last Sunday?
No, I didn't. I was at work, so I wasn't able to watch any of it.
Yeah,
I was able to watch like a couple minutes of highlights.
There's a lot of here's the news piece. Seahawks 7th round running back Chris Carson got turns with the first team offense at Tuesday's practice. I don't see this as much value. The only reason I'm bringing it up is because there's a lot of Twitter buzz in Seattle because he scored 2 touchdowns. I think it's another one of those Golladay things. There was an article that came out in one of the Seattle Times today, one of the other Seattle papers, about how Chris Carson could be the next Thomas Rawls as a kind of come out of nowhere running back kind of thing. I think it's too soon. Yes, Chris Carson trucked a guy on his way into the end zone, but once again, we're talking about 2nd, 3rd, 4th string guys late in the game. He did not have much in terms of rush yards in that game. So though it's announced here on SleeperBot, though it's also been all over the radio here in Seattle, I don't think Rawls has anything to worry about currently. And I think him getting more reps with the first team offense has to do with more of them easing Eddie Lacy in because of his weight and leg issues and those kinds of things. I think they're just mixing it up and those kinds of things. The Seahawks will give anybody the opportunity to earn a job as well. So just because he got turns at the offense, it is what it is. But once again, another player who scored 2 touchdowns probably getting overhyped too soon, like Kenny Golladay.
Okay, moving on. Thank you. Good commentary. You're not even going to say you're welcome?
Yeah, well,
say thank you?
Thank you.
Yeah, there we go.
I said this is a 5-star show.
All right. Just a couple more things to go over. According to the Chicago Tribune's Brad Biggs, Mike Glennon remains the, quote, strong favorite, unquote, to start Bears Week 1 opener against the Falcons. Yeah, I'm not. I really think that they're going to wait as long as possible to give it over to Trubisky. He's still a rookie. He's going to have to show a lot more. Now, I mean, let's be honest. Glennon had such a great opener in the first preseason game with his official QB rating of 0.0.
Yeah, we could count it on less than a hand, less than a finger.
So, No, I think Glenn's it's still Glenn's job for now. So
What if he lays a goose again? How fast? Let me rephrase it here. How fast is the trigger on Glennon, knowing that the backup is a first-round draft pick, the number 2 taken player overall, in a season where they're not really looking to make the playoffs anyway? Do you think they bring in Mitch Trubisky early if, even though they paid Glennon, there's not an issue there?
I think they still let Glennon start. And if he sucks it up after even a quarter, or if they need to make a change at halftime, then they'll make a change at halftime. And then the next game, they may still start Glennon again.
Yeah. So cue O.J. Howard's ever-rising fantasy draft value, who's jumping now that Zeke's out. I was looking to try and get him.
You mean Jordan Howard?
Sorry, Jordan Howard.
The brother bear.
on the back end, kind of the middle of round 2, and he's going round 1 in 12-team, 112 to the 2-4 range.
Yeah, in a 12-man league, at one point you should have been able to, if you were, if you like going running back, which I typically don't, but may this year, depending on how draft picks fall to me and where I am in the draft, you could have gone, in a round 1, round 2, say you were, number 10, you could have gone Jay Ajayi pick 1, Jordan Howard pick 2.
And you would have been set.
And you would have been, there's your running backs, and you can just draft nothing but, especially in PPR, because all we talk about here on this podcast, we are a PPR podcast, period. That's what we do.
We'll answer your standard question if you ask.
Huh?
But we'll answer the standard questions if they ask. But
we'll answer questions about standard leagues. But we talk. Well, I mean, everyone on our podcast plays PPR, so we talk PPR. As far as PPR goes, then you can just then you just wait till the end of the draft. Near the end of the draft, start drafting guys like Theo Riddick and Duke.
Oh yeah,
and those kind of guys. So, all right. Here's the thing. Coach Arians said Jaron Brown is the Cardinals' number 2 wide receiver. Not a problem.
And the sickle cell trait issue is still an issue for John Brown.
And again, I brought that up in our draft guides as well, that I thought it could still linger and still be an issue this season. And what do you know? There it is.
He's got to get out of the high altitude of Arizona.
And then what was it, 3rd round pick, Kenny Golladay worked primarily with the first team offense for the first time in training camp this past Wednesday. Or that was today, since we record this late Wednesday night. Ty Montgomery is expected to miss the Packers' second preseason game. Cue Joe Williams. It was Jamal Williams. Dang it. Because they're both, one's from BYU and one's from Utah. Let's see. It's one of the Williams guys. There we go. Jamal Williams. There we go. So Jamal Williams could very well. I think this kind of his opportunity if he could really show something to pass up Ty Montgomery, especially if the leg issues continue for Ty Montgomery. Which, if I remember right, Ty Montgomery also had the sickle cell trait, which caused him to miss some time last season. So,
yep.
All right, so that's it for the news and notes. Real quick, I just want to give a quick shout out to our title sponsor, Vox DFS Firelines. They are getting ready for football. They have actually brought on a couple of new line writers and line consultants that I think that you guys would really like to get some advice from. So if you could go to Vox, VOKS, as in the voice of knowledge, VOKSDFS.com, and hear from them, go to them, and let them know that the guys from Skull King Football sent you over there. That would be great. You will not be disappointed. They provide DFS lines and consulting for pretty much every sport, whether it's PGA, NASCAR, all of them. They even do Canadian football, and their guy for Canadian football does not hardly miss. So make sure to check them out. If you play some DFS, go check them out.
If you're playing Canadian DFS, you better be subscribed to some sort of stat line or some sort of subscription service, because who pays attention to that?
Yeah, the Russell, one of their line providers, he absolutely knocks CFL out of the park. He really does. So, all right. So now let's move on. We're gonna get into a little bit of draft theory. We're not gonna go too deep into this, because we covered a lot of news. But instead of going over mock drafts, I wanted to actually talk about my theories and how I work going into a draft. And again, we basically deal in PPR, so I'm going to be talking how to work a PPR draft. So what I'm going to do is I'm real quick, because I, was a little behind and didn't pull this up ahead of time. I'm going to go to fantasycalculator.com. And I'm going to pull up the ADPs for PPR leagues, and we'll just go ahead and should I do 10 or 12 team?
12. 10 is
We'll do 12.
That's
too fine.
Easy.
We'll do
not
12.
Deep enough.
Okay, so we're going to do 12. And Ezekiel Elliott's already dropping down in the second round. Jordan Howard is passing up Jay Ajayi because of concussion issues for Jay Ajayi. Interesting. All right.
Jay Ajayi is currently behind Ezekiel Elliott, which is a mistake.
Correct. All right. Well, I think this is just catching up on where Ezekiel Elliott's going to be. So, all right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of talk through kind of how I attack a draft. And so let's go ahead and get started into it. Since we're talking PPR, which is mainly what I play, if I have the number one pick, I'm going David Johnson. I'm going Le'Veon, or the number two pick, I'm going Le'Veon Bell. Period. Now, the one issue, you talk, do you handcuff those guys? Me personally, maybe. Depends on how I draft. Kind of depends on how the draft falls later. David Johnson, let's be honest, there really isn't a handcuff for David Johnson. There isn't. Le'Veon Bell, there's James Conner. That because he's the only other running back really that they have. Toussaint has proven that he's not going to be the guy. So
yeah.
So for me, if I have first or second pick, I'm going one of those guys. I'm not going to pass up one of them just because of how productive they are. Le'Veon Bell may drop a little bit because is he still holding out? Has he gone to practice yet?
I have not been able to keep up on that one.
If you want to look that up real quick while I kind of keep going with this. So beyond that, where I tend to like to draft, for me, especially being in PPR leagues, is I like to draft towards the end of the first round. So I like that kind of 7 to 10 range. I don't like being right on the turn. I hate it. I hate being right on the turn. But a lot of leagues I play in, because they're PPR, running backs do tend to get pushed down a little bit. So I like, in round one, you need your stud, that guy that's going to carry you all season. So if I'm going to be earlier, Antonio Brown, Julio Jones, Odell Beckham, those guys are awesome. Really, you want them.
Lev Bell is still not at camp.
Still not at camp. Okay, so that drops Lev Bell. I would probably go David Johnson 1, Antonio Brown 2, and Julio Jones 3 at this point. So, let's go. So let's kind of look. So if you're getting towards the end of the round, kind of where I like, you've got Mike Evans, Devonta Freeman, AJ Green, Melvin Gordon, Jordy Nelson, Michael Thomas. I'm hesitant on drafting Melvin Gordon that early, because you've already got an injured lineman, one of your best linemen who you just drafted, is already out for the season with a torn ACL. And he's not going to really, he hasn't been all that great about catching the ball. So I would be fine going AJ Green. AJ Green is going to anchor you. Last year, before he had the torn hamstring that basically cost him the second half of the season, he was on pace to be the number one wide receiver. He was going to lead the league in receptions and lead the league in yards. Let's see, T.Y. Hilton finished last season with 1,400 yards, 1,450 yards, somewhere in there. A.J. Green is on pace for 1,700 yards. So if he's there, he's going to get the ball. It's just a matter of whether or not he can stay healthy. So you want to anchor your team there. I like taking an A.J. Green or a Jordy Nelson, depending on how it falls. I'd even be willing to take Mike Evans. Then coming back around, it really depends on who's available. I would probably this year be okay. I normally draft very wide receiver heavy. This year I would be okay taking a running back with my second pick, especially if that running back is either DeMarco Murray, Jordan Howard, or even Jay Ajayi. I won't take Todd Gurley. I don't believe he is. I don't believe that team is good enough to be able to support him. Let's be honest.
Their offensive line is still horrible.
Yeah. I won't take Leonard Fournette because I don't believe in drafting rookie running backs that early.
Ezekiel Elliott is too soon of an anomaly for that to be a norm.
And I don't know if Jacksonville's offensive line is still ready to push Leonard Fournette that high. So
well, they got rid of Jokel.
Yeah, I know. The Seahawks picked him up.
And he came to Seattle.
And so, anchor it with so I would anchor with a wide receiver. And then for me, if I pick up a running back in the second round, I probably won't draft another one until like the 6th or 7th. Personally, I'm going to pick up high reception wide receivers or high targeted wide receivers. And again, that's one of the things that's going to be one of the things you need to look at, especially in PPR drafts. Wide receivers, the biggest sign for wide receivers and their success is their targets. Not necessarily receptions, their targets. Who are the guys that are getting thrown to a ton? Those are going to be the guys like Jordy Nelson, Mike Evans. I mean, obviously we have the top three. Michael Thomas last year finished with like 124 targets or something like that, 125 targets. He's going to get more this year. So he would be a good guy to go after in that case. Amari Cooper, I'm still a little hesitant on. Des Bryant, I'm a little hesitant on. But if you go down
one thing to highlight on Cooper really fast is Crabtree, and this is an astounding stat that I will continue to quote until the end of all drafts, is last year Amari Cooper got less red zone targets than Crabtree got red zone touchdowns.
And there's your sign.
There's your sign.
And let's look at it. Where is Michael Crabtree is going in the 4th round. Amari Cooper is going mid second. So these are the things. These are the kind of things you want to be looking for. T.Y. Hilton, I'd be good with T.Y. Hilton. I really like Doug Baldwin for this next year. But he would have, again, if I take a running back in that second round, I would have to hope and pray that he falls to the 3rd. And playing fantasy football up here in Seattle, that's not going to happen. Doug Baldwin will not fall out of the second round.
No. Unless
you're in a 10-man league, and then he still probably won't fall out of the second round. Now we're starting to get to that point, kind of round 3. This is where we have this big divide between Justin and I and our other co-host Greg. Greg will draft a quarterback in the second round. Aaron Rodgers is currently averaging first pick in the 3rd round. And Tom Brady 8th pick in the 3rd round on Fantasy Football Calculator. Greg will take Tom Brady in the 2nd round this year in every draft that he can. He will take him in the 2nd round because he believes in having that big time quarterback. Here's kind of our reasoning, Justin and I. Here's my reasoning for taking a quarterback so late, is because the point difference between your quarterbacks from quarterback 1 to quarterback 12 is not as big of a difference as it is for say a wide receiver that you pick up in round 1 and a wide receiver you pick up in round 12. So you want to pick up your wide receivers, build up that wide receiver and running back depth, because you can get a quarterback who will put up close to those kind of numbers. I mean, he's not going to put up the massive numbers that Drew Brees, Tom Brady, and Aaron Rodgers are, but he will give you what you need so that your built-up depth up at wide receiver and running back will carry you. So that's why we draft late. Guys, here, I'll just go ahead and why don't I just go ahead and say guys that I'm specifically going to be targeting in my drafts. And since I don't think any one of the people that I play fantasy football with, except maybe a couple, actually even listen to our podcast, which is somewhat depressing. Guys, you want wide receivers I'm going to target? These are the kind of guys I target when it comes to fantasy football. I will target, we've got our top guys, all those guys I'm willing to target. I'm hesitant on DeAndre Hopkins. I am targeting Terrell Pryor. I want Terrell Pryor in every single league I play in because I believe that Terrell Pryor is going to put up 90 catches, 1,300 yards, and at least 8 TDs. He is going to be the number one wide receiver in Washington. I'm willing to be okay targeting Demaryius Thomas if he falls a little bit, and here's why. Demaryius Thomas, this is a stat that I actually found out from, give some credit, to where credit is due, from the fantasy, from Eat Sleep Fantasy, from their podcast, that Demaryius Thomas has not outperformed or even performed up to his average draft position in 4 years. He usually finishes below, the last few years he has finished below wide receiver 15. So for that reason, I'd be willing to wait a little bit on him. I'm not going after Keenan Allen. Not going to happen. He's too much of an injury risk. And for those who say, well, yeah, but he had the ACL thing, but the year before that it was a lacerated kidney, and 2 years before that it was a shoulder injury. So that's contact. You've got the ACL, that's contact. You can technically say that his kidney injury was also a contact injury because he got absolutely rocked. Could it just be that maybe Keenan Allen's body just can't take the punishment? It's not that he's injury prone, that it's specifically that he just doesn't have the joints to handle. Maybe it's just his body in general can't take the punishment of getting hit that hard. Maybe that's it. I'm willing to just push off on Keenan Allen and take Tyrell Williams in the 9th round instead of drafting Keenan Allen in the 3rd. I will not go after Alshon Jeffrey, although it's somewhat... No, I'm not going to go after Alshon Jeffrey. I would take Travis Kelce at 4-1 before I take Alshon Jeffrey. I like Dalvin Cook. I will target Michael Crabtree. I will pass up Allen Robinson and Devon. Well, Allen Robinson's going to get a ton of targets. Hopefully this year, Blake Bortles can be a little more accurate. But I would be willing to target Allen Robinson. I'm more likely to go after Michael Crabtree because he will catch the ball a lot. He's in a high-powered offense. He's going to get more targets in the red zone, which is going to be huge, especially compared to Amari Cooper. So I think he may finish above Amari Cooper again. I will pass on Carlos Hyde. I will as many leagues as I can get Danny Woodhead in, I am taking Danny Woodhead. I just don't like drafting him in the 4th round. If he falls to the 5th or 6th, oh God, I'm all over getting Danny Woodhead on my team. You want Jarvis Landry. You want Golden Tate. Golden Tate has had 3 consecutive seasons now of 90-plus catches. You want Golden Tate on your team. After a slow start last year, he still finished with over 90 catches last year. You want Golden Tate on your team. I like Greg Olsen. I'm hesitant on Martavis Bryant. I'm just kind of going down this list. Julian Edelman is a PPR wide receiver only. Do not pick him up in standard. Yeah, he may get to 1,000 yards, but he's only going to get you 3 or 4 touchdowns. The touchdowns in New England go to the running backs and go to Gronk. That's it. Cooks may have a couple touchdowns. He may even get up to 6, maybe even 8. Maybe Cooks gets up to 8. Julian Edelman will catch 4. That's it. I like Bilal Powell. I don't like Mark Ingram. Willie Snead, good grief. Willie Snead in the 6th round is a steal. I think he will finish as a top 20 wide receiver this year. What do you think, Justin?
Yeah, unless Ted Ginn does it. but really,
That was funny.
The number 2 receiver for Breeze is going to be a top 20 receiver.
Yeah.
They're going to throw the rock all over the place. Ingram will still catch the ball out of the backfield unless Kobe Fleener comes out of nowhere,
which I'm not counting on.
That could not make him a huge – it could increase him. That would be the only thing that I could see that would drop Snead out of the top 20, just because maybe their targets get split more evenly. But if last year was any indication, that's not going to be the case. So Willie Snead, yes.
Well, here's the deal. Willie Snead plays in the slot. Willie Snead actually only saw like 15 less targets than Michael Thomas last year. But Michael Thomas took more deep routes. He was taking the deeper kind of mid routes, while Willie Snead was taking a lot of those under routes as this slot guy. So I am targeting. Well, here's the deal. If I get Terrell Pryor, I may still go after Jamison Crowder. It may not likely, but if you don't get Terrell Pryor, go after Jamison Crowder, because I think he'll be a good PPR pickup as well. I think Terrell Pryor is just playing a number 1 wide receiver, period. Going back to this, I skipped over him. Jarvis Landry. I'm hesitant on Jarvis Landry this season. With Adam Gase as the head coach, Jay Cutler is his quarterback. I have no clue who the top wide receiver is going to be for Jay Cutler now. It very well could be Kenny Stills. No, not Kenny Stills. That's too many deep passes. Maybe it's it very well could be Devontae Parker, because that's the type of receiver that Jay Cutler has always liked throwing to. You look at Alshon Jeffrey, you look at Brandon Marshall. That's that big-bodied mid-range, mid-route wide receiver. Those are the kind of guys that he likes throwing to. So that's I would kind of put my money on Parker there. Looking at more, Tevin Coleman going in the 6th as a running back in PPR. Is it how'd that old beer commercial go? Is it Travis Mockery? It's a travesty, a sham, and a mockery. It's a Travis mockery. I think Tevin Coleman. I think Tevin Coleman catches a lot of those passes out of the backfield. His only downfall is that he hasn't been able to stay as healthy. So, and then just looking at a few more people, kind of before we wrap this up, just looking at a couple more people that I think that are being underdrafted right now. Pierre Garçon in the 7th. Pierre Garçon is a number 1 wide receiver in a Kyle Shanahan offense and a team that's going to stink, so they're going to have to throw the crap out of the ball. Give me a lot of shares of Pierre Garçon. Yes, he's in San Francisco, and I'm a Seahawks fan. I don't care. I want to win my fantasy leagues. I'm drafting Pierre Garçon if he's available. I want Brandon Marshall in the 6th. The targets will be there. I would want Dante Moncrief if he could stay healthy.
Right now, would you take Devontae Parker or Cameron Meredith?
Ooh. Right now, if I had to pick between the two, right now, or you let me wait a couple weeks?
Right now.
Cameron Meredith. Just because I'm not sure of how Jay Cutler is going to throw, because Jay Cutler still hasn't even played a game with them.
Yeah.
I know that Cam Meredith for sure is the number 1 wide receiver for the Bears. I don't know now for the Dolphins. So, but yeah, Cameron Meredith. Okay, well here, I'll take Cameron Meredith in the mid 8th over beginning 8th. Yeah, so they're about the same. Duke Johnson. People draft Duke Johnson this year. If Isaiah Crowell struggles, Duke Johnson gets more rushes. Duke Johnson right now is the leader for the slot position for the Browns. And over the last 2 years, he is the only wide receiver or the only running back the last two years to have 50 receptions in both seasons. I believe that's what it was. 50 receptions and 500 yards in both seasons. And now they're adding on to that by putting him in the slot. So he's going to get more first and second down looks too. Draft Duke Johnson in the 8th. If he drops farther than the 8th, get all over him in PPR leagues. So And again, Tyrell Williams in the 9th is just ridiculous. Take him. So those are the kind of guys I look at. These are the things I'm looking at. Guys that have a lot of opportunity. Guys that have, their floor is maybe not so. You want guys with a high floor as much as possible. You want guys with a lot of reception possibility, a lot of targets, and then as you get towards the end. Let's see, so Samaje Perine's going in the 10th. Where is Rob Kelly's now going in the 8th? Rob Kelly is finally climbing now that reports have come out that he is going to be the number 1 wide receiver or the number 1 running back there. Sorry, did you have something?
Nope.
Okay. And then got Cole Beasley going in the 11th is just ridiculous. Zay Jones is moving up to the 12th. And those are the guys that are just sticking out to me. Cameron Brate is still going like 2 rounds behind OJ Howard. I don't get it. People, listen to us, please. Do not draft OJ Howard unless you're in a dynasty league. Draft Cameron Brate. Draft Cameron Brate. He was the number 6 tight end last year. If he falls, it's not going to be outside of the top 12. Draft Cameron Brate. Have I made myself clear yet?
Yes.
Okay.
I didn't know if you're asking me or the crowd.
Yes. So all right. So that's about it for you guys. Again, kind of the guys that I want to give you the guys that I'm targeting. Let you know who I'm looking at. Honestly, if you want to know guys that I am absolutely avoiding, tweet us at Skull King FB. Ask us straight up. DM us. I'll tell you. I'll tell you who I'm avoiding, who I like, who I don't. You can also, again, if you go to skullkingfootball.com/store, get in there and you can find our 2017 draft guide. You will find the people in there. We separate out. We've got our quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, all of our sleepers. Our rankings are on there. Actually, they're my rankings, really. Our rankings are in there. They're not completely up to date because of all the craziness that happened last year with the Bills, and then you've got Ezekiel Elliott's suspension. But with all of that, I go in team by team, and I go each position. I give you their fantasy relevance depth chart, basically, is what it's going to be, and go in position by position, describe who I think is the lead, what I think about each individual player on there. So. Guys, go ahead and draft that. Again, it's free. Go to skullkingfootball.com/store to get our free 2017 draft guide to help you out with your drafts this year. Again, it's all related to PPR. It's got a cheat sheet in the back of it for you so that you can just print that off to take to your draft. So you've got all of our rankings there. Anything else that I'm missing? I think that's about it. Again, please, we ask, give us a rating. Don't worry about filling out a review. Just give us a rating. 1 star or 5 stars. Like, Justin believes we're a 5-star. I think we're at least a 3.5. So, guys, if you could go ahead and just give us just a quick rating. All you have to do is go on to iTunes and just click which star you think we're at. That's all. That's it. Done. That's all it takes. So if you guys could give us
hang on. Right now, with the review, even a ranking, even if you just go click their ranking and you leave a name there, you'll be entered in for the drawing for the Jay Ajayi or the Martavis Bryant jersey, which are both signed, both authenticated, or third place prize is a Skull King sweatshirt or t-shirt of your choice.
Yeah. So, and also if you download our draft guide, that also enters you in to be for the drawing for the Jay Ajayi or Martavis Bryant jerseys as well, or a Skull King. So should we order it to ourselves and then sign it and then send it?
There we go. Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, we'll even sign it. We won't authenticate it, but we'll sign it. How's that?
It will be authenticated.
So,
it is my signature.
All right. So that's all we've got for you guys tonight. Again, we want to thank you for taking the time to listen to some of our ramblings. And we hope that you guys appreciate the advice that we're trying to give you. Once again, I am Ryan, and with me tonight has been Justin, and I hope you guys have a great week, and we'll talk to you later. Hey, Skull King Nation, thank you for listening to the Skull King Football Podcast. Did you like this episode? If so, be sure to go to iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and YouTube to subscribe. Also, please leave us a rating and reviews to let us know how we can better help you rule your leagues.